All right, we're back with another video today, and what I want to talk about is absolute value equations in a special circumstance. So in this case, we want equations that have two absolute values. So we talked in the past about an equation with one absolute value where there's a positive answer and a negative answer, and we take that same technique and apply it to equations such as this. So what we want to do is these parentheses will disappear. All right, we're going to have two equations. So over here, this x plus 8 is going to equal to the positive absolute value. That would be one equation. The other equation would be the x plus 8 equaling to the negative equation of this. So what we do is we put the negative sign of the absolute value. So the absolute value we would write in parentheses. And this is important because now we can change the sign of those parentheses with the negative portion of it. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this, which you guys should know how to do. I will subtract x from both sides first, and then subtract 1, and I get x equaling to 7. Okay, so now what I want to do when I have two absolute values, I have to plug them in to make sure that this is actually true, because what we're going to find is sometimes the answers are not true. So although we get a solution here, it may not make this particular thing true. So if I have 7 plus 8, the absolute value of 7 plus 8 is 15. And then over here, 2 times 7, is this equal to each other? So we have 2 times 7 plus 1, that's 15. And so 15 equals 15 is true. So this would be one of the solutions to this absolute value problem. All right, so now when we go over here, again, this is our check, all right? Over here, we're gonna change the signs on this. So negative 2x and a negative 1, all right? So I'm gonna move the variable term. Move the number term. And we get our solution. So now what I wanna do is plug it in. So for our check, I have negative 3 plus 8, and that's going to give me an absolute value answer of 5. Over on this side, I have 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus 1. All right, that would give me an absolute value of negative 5, and that would give me an answer of 5. So this is true, and this would be a solution. Now, if we get an answer where this is not true, this is what's called an extraneous solution. And it is possible, so an extraneous solution is one that doesn't make the check true. And it is possible in this case to only have one solution and not two, because one of those solutions could be extraneous. In fact, both solutions could also be extraneous. Okay, so when we have two absolute values, we have to do the check. All right, let's try a different example here. And in this case, now we have a number out front. So what we want to do in this case, the first equation, all of the absolute value signs are going to convert to parentheses now. We can't distribute into an absolute value, but when we solve it, we can now convert it to parentheses. And now we can distribute into the parentheses, but we cannot distribute into absolute value. Okay, so we go ahead and follow our equation solving steps, and I get x equaling to 17. Because there's two absolute values, I have to check it. So here I have 17 minus 4, right? 17 minus 4 is 13 times 3, right? So we have 13 times 3 is going to be 39. So on our check, the absolute value of 39, right? That would give us 39 on this side. On this side, we have 2 times 17, which is 34, plus 5 is 39. So in this case, the answer checks, and 17 would be a solution to this. Now, for the negative portion of it, now this is where, again, we follow the same steps. So this portion becomes negative in our equation. Okay? And then we would do the same thing and go ahead and solve. But I do want to point out one more thing in this. What if the order, normally we take the right side and we make that part negative. But what if, for example, we had something like this instead for our problem? So when we do the negative for this, if we choose to do the right part of the equation, only the absolute value gets negative. So what happens in this case? This is a slightly different problem from this, but I want to show you how to turn this thing negative. We would have 3, and then in brackets, negative, and then the parenthesis, all right? And then this would become 2x plus 5, okay? So this is a slight bit different thing, and this is where some kids get confused or make mistakes. If we have this, this is how we make it negative. We don't take the 3 and make the 3 negative, only the absolute value portion becomes negative in this case, okay? So then what we would do if we were doing the work here, the 3 stays here. We change the signs of all of this, okay? So that would be a negative 2x minus 10. And at that point, you can keep the brackets or make them parentheses again, it doesn't really matter. And now we would distribute and go ahead and finish solving the question. So again, when we get our answer, we have to make it extraneous. So to kind of review this, right? So what did we do? We need the 2 equations, right? To solve, we need the positive one and the negative equation. And then we have to make sure that we check solutions, right? And if the solution doesn't check where it's balanced, then we have an extraneous solution.